Hey, all you Hollyweirdos. On today's episode of Hollyweird Paranormal Podcast, we kind of dive a bit into the mysterious, the paranormal, and also the history of one of the most important pieces of properties here in Los Angeles, and that is Marilyn Monroe's Brentwood home. News that the owner of 12305 Fifth Helena Drive wanted to destroy the home spread quickly this week after the New York Post reported that it was in the initial stages of the demolition process. But as of Friday, September the 8th, Councilwoman Tracy Park had received many calls and emails in regards to this horrible news. She worked rigorously with her team and the Cultural Heritage Commission to consider the home for inclusion in LA's list of historic cultural monuments, and the motion was approved, giving the CHC 75 days to evaluate and approve the house as a landmark. So sit back and relax as we talk about the mysterious owners of the Brentwood home who wanted to destroy this historic residence where our blonde bombshell Marilyn Monroe passed, and the neighbors who actually fought back, along with the possibility that her Brentwood and Runyon Canyon home may have some ghostly activities. We also touch on other historical locations in and around Los Angeles that are on the verge of being demolished or have been demolished. Okay, so you already know the drill. Why don't you pour yourself a little bubbly if you're over the age of 18 and maybe gather your diamonds, since Marilyn Monroe did remind us that diamonds are a girl's best friend. And since some do like it hot, it is pretty hot here in Los Angeles, so get that fan blowing. It's a whopping 102 degrees here in Los Angeles. Let's get Hollyweird in Brentwood, y'all.
This is BJ.
And this is Mitra.
And we're from the Unrefined Podcast.
Do you like ghost stories, urban legends, spooky tales that will chill your spine?
Whoa.
What? I'm just getting into it, okay?
Just a little bit. But seriously, if you want to hear us talk about all things that are unexplained,
but with a good sense of humor,
then tune into Unrefined, your favorite paranormal podcast.
New episodes out every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
And make sure to subscribe to get the latest episodes of Unrefined right to your device.
All right, guys, welcome to Hollyweird Paranormal Podcast. We're your hosts, Tammy Merhep-Chavez.
Hi, I'm Bryce Mitchell-Williams.
And we are very happy to say that Marilyn Monroe's Brentwood home has been salvaged thanks to Councilwoman Tracy Park.
What a whirlwind.
It has been
Tracy Park, what a legend.
It's been a crazy couple of days with this news and everything.
True to form with Marilyn, I mean, we've talked about this on a couple of different occasions, but like, this is the most like LA experience. And of course, it's like surrounding her the most like, she is the industry. She sort of is, among others, but she sort of exemplifies the glory and the gore of the industry and this town.
She does. She's our Mary Mother of Los Angeles. Like, whenever you think of Hollywood, everybody thinks of Marilyn Monroe. And for one of her relics to be demolished, that was like a hope timeout. Okay, you could take away the Brown Derby, the Viper Room, and all these other places, but you cannot tear down this house of hers, because this is like, you're pretty much demolishing her.
It's just one of those things where it's like, what are you going to build there? Like another fucking high-rise, expensive, unaffordable apartment?
I think that was kind of the name of the game. Like, they were going to either build a bigger home or like a couple of like condos for this company. It's very bleak. I'll go into detail for you guys that are just tuning in. So a couple of days ago, as of September the 6th or 7th, fans and Brentwood residents were mourning over the potential demise of the Marilyn Monroe's final residence, which is located in the neighborhood of Brentwood. This is the Spanish colonial home that she last purchased after her split with Arthur Miller. And this was the place where she will pass in August of 1962. The home was built in 1929. And Monroe did own it independently. So this was hers. This was her baby right here. And I think she did pay for this property. Get this. She paid $75,000 for this property after she officially split with Arthur Miller.
Which, like, look, for sure, that's like $75,000 of like 60s money. So I get that. But even then, like, goddamn.
Right. So it has, like, since her passing, I know that it has gone through several different types of hands, but as of 2017, according to Rest in Peace Los Angeles, writer Nathan Marsack really dug into the ground to find a lot of due diligence on who was behind this possible demolition. So according to his research of 12305 5th Helena Drive, the property was sold in 2017, I think for $8.5 million, or I think it was probably a little lower, trying to look for the price here. But it was sold to, here it is. It was sold May 2017 for $7.2 million to Glory of the Snow, LLC. And then something weird happens. In July of 2023, it's sold to the Glory of the Snow Trust. So it sold itself the house again, except that it sold it to a trust for $8.3 million.
Wow.
And according to his paperwork on the ownership timeline, it's a gentleman by the name of Andrew Shahur. So we don't know anything about this trust. We don't know. I mean, based on Nathan's research, he's like, I can't find anything in regards to this company, but it's possible that this is something that is overseas.
Sure.
And they're doing something a little weird and a little shady, and they messed with the wrong house. And
But this is the way. Like this, there's so many loopholes that you can exploit, I will say, through like real estate in this county, and also like with LLC Corps. And like, look, not I lasted as long as I could, but like we're watching in real time as like LLC corporations and like nefarious land barons ruin the housing economy through Airbnb. Like there is an A to B correlation. Like all these people who are like buying houses for Airbnb and then like whining and crying because no one's renting from them. But it's like, well, I'm just like really not interested in someone owning like 24 houses that they're just like renting out. Like that's really not what Airbnb was designed for, but they've like exploited this loophole. And especially in LA County, like people are offering in cash offers for, we were talking about it when you were looking for a house, thousands and thousands of dollars over asking price in cash. Like that's not a family going and being like, hey, we want to live here.
No, yeah.
That is a company or a friend. Yeah, it's like, there's all kinds of like foreign real estate development. And like, look, I get it. They're in the business to make money, but it just has such a dark side to it. And then they're like looking around like, yeah, there's a reason like no one can afford houses anywhere in this country, let alone Los Angeles County. But like,
yeah,
it's insane.
It's not only Airbnb too, but it's also overseas money. So you have a lot of these people from overseas, specifically China and Israel, that are coming in. And it's been proven they purchased these properties here for millions and they lay dormant.
Yeah.
They're it's proven that, these places that they've just purchased are still empty. Yeah. And it's really, really sad.
They're not being utilized. And again, like, it's not like someone's buying, even like, look, you want to talk about like, speaking of the strike, these people who are like complaining about like A-list celebrities being in support of the strike. First of all, like have some class solidarity. Like a multimillionaire is actually not your enemy. And I get that that's difficult to understand because you're like, but they're so rich, and they are. But even someone like Hillary Duff selling her mega mansion for like 32 million, if I'm remembering the number correctly, that's more money than I will ever see in my life.
Right.
And like, yeah, should that be taxed and like appropriately dispersed, yes, but that she's closer to being an average working class person, even selling her mansion for that, than she is to being a billionaire. Like, she's not the problem. These A-list celebrities who are maybe even buying second or like third mega mansions, that is still inequity. I'm not saying that they're like off the hook, but that's not the issue here. The issue is these like billion-dollar industries, foreign interests, Zillow, Airbnb, corporations, real estate moguls, international interests buying hundreds of these houses and then, like you're saying, leaving them completely dormant. And this is across the country, like it's everywhere. And so and then again, it's like, this is important because yes, obviously I want to support the like restoration of historical landmarks in Los Angeles. We're notoriously very bad at that in this city, but it's like a greater issue that's happening. The person that bought it may or may not have even known what this specific house
100%.
They're just seeing a number on a spreadsheet. They don't know.
It's just like, oh, we have this prime property in Brentwood. And for those of you that are not familiar with Brentwood, this is a pretty prime area. Like it's in the millions and millions, like almost billions now. Like you have to have a great chunk of money in order to live here. Like if you're a celebrity, a huge, political figure. I think even Maria Shriver and her husband from the Terminator, what's his name? Oh my God. Arnold Schwarzenegger on my mind today. It's still in the morning. I think they even own property here too at one point. Like it's pretty expensive. So of course they were going to buy and then wait for it to possibly go up in property value and then sell it to its own company in some weird way into a trust.
It is weird too that they bought it for an amount and then sold it to themselves for a higher amount.
Yeah, it's very sus. And there's not a lot of information online that you can find in regards to Glory of the Snow LLC. And I even tried looking for it, and all I could find was just like a definition for a flower that's seen overseas.
No, but I mean, that's the way, is that like, that's why they create these companies. Is to
exactly. And I know that there has been a sign in front of her house since 2021. And then I know that it's been, I think it was something that was finally put into process with its demolition. So that's when people were like, no, we got to hurry up because this is going to be, pretty soon that they're going to demolish it. So according to this Los Angeles Times article here, there was a Marilyn Monroe impersonator. I'm sure a lot of people know who I'm talking about. And for those that don't, it's Jasmine Kiswell, who made a huge scene on TikTok by impersonating and looking like and dressing up as Marilyn. She took her impersonation so far where she and her husband Maverick ended up purchasing one of Marilyn Monroe's homes. And this is a home in Runyon Canyon. So why is Kiswell under so much scrutiny and fire because of this demolition? Well, people really didn't do their research or understood that Marilyn Monroe lived everywhere in Los Angeles.
Right.
He owned properties, and one of those was, definitely the Runyon Canyon home. So she purchased this home with then husband Joe DiMaggio in the 50s. This was a home they owned. This was the home that Joe was hoping to raise a family with Marilyn. And unfortunately, that wasn't it. They divorced. And this is where now Jasmine Kiswell and her husband live in. So people got really confused. And they're like, Jasmine, why are you tearing down the home in Brentwood? She's like, there's two different types of homes. Like, I'm not there. That's not the one. That's not it. Another thing that has been brought up is, well, why are they demolishing the home? Like, could it be something else? Could it be, and here's where we get a little spooky, guys. I know, of course, Hollyweird Paranormal.
Almost.
Was it because of something otherworldly? So the Times also brings up a couple of ghost stories in regards to Jasmine's Runyon Canyon home of possibly being haunted by Marilyn Monroe. If you follow her on TikTok, she has had a couple of story times where she shared Ring camera footage of hearing a woman singing in the background when no one's home, doors opening and closing by themselves. She also brought in like a team to come in and a psychic to come in, where they had clarified that there's not only one, but other entities that have roam in and out of this establishment. Also, in regards to the Brentwood home, it also has been rumored that people have claimed to have seen an apparition of a woman that fits the description of Marilyn Monroe.
Wow.
In and around the property. And also, this is the property where she passed in 1962, which let's all agree or disagree, but I mean, it was a conspiracy. It was a conspiracy.
Yes.
I don't think she ended her life. I think someone ended it for her. And
let me tell you a little something about Bobby.
Right? It just like, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
and things
obviously.
just didn't add up.
Wild conjecture.
But in the end of the day, I don't think it's ghosts that are causing, these people to want to demolish it. It all comes down to money.
Mm-hmm.
And like I mentioned before, we're seeing this actually happen. And I'm surprised no one is saying anything about or doing anything, or maybe we don't know, in regards to the Viper Room off of Sunset Boulevard. So the Viper Room is also set to be demolished. And of course, what's going to be built over it is a huge skyrise condominium provided with a little shopping mall in the lobby. You'll get some, fragrances, a smoothie, and maybe a pitya bowl. Sure. But yeah, I know for a fact that they were hinting on doing something across the street with the Whiskey A Go-Go. And they're like, no, this is actually registered as a historical location, so you cannot touch it. But I don't think that the Viper Room was considered to be a historical location. Or
like land developers and like real estate developers, they're just like scrupulous. They don't actually care. It's just like, oh, but we could make so much money here. Like, okay, sure, great. I don't know. It's very disappointing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. And I mean, we've seen this happen all over the city too. For all you like true Angelinos, I'm sure you guys remembered the Brown Derby or heard stories about it. And the Brown Derby was a location. It looked like a brown hat. It was a restaurant where all these big old Hollywood stars would venture to. And unfortunately, that was torn down. And you would think, for a structure that looked like that with its history and this cachet of like famous Hollywood people that would venture there would be seen there. It would be salvaged, but unfortunately it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some places that, can be saved and others that for some reason just were not able to be saved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
well, I think it's that thing of like, it happens very quickly. And so you have to kind of get a council person who's willing to work with you. And there's a lot of red tape and a lot of hoops. And unfortunately, the real estate market moves very quickly. So these sales and demolitions can happen within weeks, unfortunately. So, and that's, I mean, we talk about it so much, like, especially in these like post-COVID scenarios, so many things, Oil Can Harry's and all of these places.
Oh, yes. Oil Can
that were like unique and like different and like, a little campy and like niche. But the city is just being homogenized. So it's just like it just all looks the same, feels the same. And look, there are still places where that is the case, that there's, culture and joy and unique experiences, but they're getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, they are.
It's sad.
From what I just pulled up this information on the Viper Room, and it looks like, guys, that something might happen. So based on an article, I want to say through therealdeal.com on May 9th of 2023, the historic Viper Room would be demolished, but it looks like there's other plans that might be in motion. There's a third vision for redevelopment of the iconic nightclub, and they're going to see if maybe they could possibly revamp it and move it in, kind of fuse it into the skyrise condominiums.
Oh boy.
Maybe, we don't know, but there is a third vision for it that might salvage something of it. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Boy.
sort of what happens. Sometimes there's like community pushback, and then they kind of readjust, and they're like, "No, we're just like gonna remodel it." And I was thinking about there's that like storyline in Burlesque, the Christina Aguilera Cher movie, and they like basically they like save the Burlesque theater because they like appeal to the homeowners in the area, and they're like, "Do you want like a high rise like ruining your view?" And it's like, yeah, you have to almost like get people to like appeal to their selfishness to save these like historical landmarks, like LA, Angelino, homeowning kind of people. They love their view, unobstructed view from the hill. So if you can kind of like convince them, I think that's actually what did happen with Oil Can Harry, because it's like on the left side there on Ventura, but there's like houses up the hill there.
Yes.
And it was going to be an apartment building, and they like got the community to like rally around. I don't remember specifically what's happening with Oil Can Harry. It still was sold. It still is being like developed, but I think it has to stay under like a certain height to not obstruct the views from the hill. So like people, you know, appeal to selfishness when all else fails.
Yeah. For everyone that is not too familiar with Oil Can Harry's, Bryce, what is Oil Can Harry here in Studio City? What is it all about?
Yeah, it used to be sort of like a queer line dancing
Yes.
bar in Studio City. And again, like that's not everyone's cup of tea. I've only been a couple of times, but it's something different and it's unique, and there's a history there, and it's been around for decades. Under different ownership, of course, but it's just one of those things that like we get rid of it, and then it's like scratching our heads, like, oh, why does all of LA just feel like an Erewhon in Beverly Hills?
Yes.
There's anything wrong with that, but there's like a place for that, and there's a place for celebrating the weird little history that this city has. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a landowner, so like I'm sure it feels differently when you're the one trying to like make money, but like, come on.
Well, I have good news.
Yes.
I just noticed here in the news that as of May 11th of 2022, Oil Can Harry's was finally recognized as a historical cultural monument.
Yeah.
So it was closed in 2021, and in May, it was finally given its due. It was finally recognized as a historical and social monument. Pardon me. So It has been salvaged. It's been saved.
Yeah.
And it is one of the longest running LGBTQ plus bars in Los Angeles. It opened in 1968. And when it was purchased I think it was in 2021, the owners didn't want to continue operating it as a gay bar. And that's when, of course, like you said, people are like, hold on, hold the phone. Hold on. No,
yeah.
This is still going to continue to be, an LGBTQ plus bar.
Yeah. It's not the same. I think they're doing like a little bit, it's still a bar for sure. And it's still will have a similar name, but I don't think it's like, it won't be a line dancing, which is fine. Like things change. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way it is. Yeah. I don't know. LA is crazy.
It really is. But if we could really work together, we could really get something done, Yeah.
True.
And I mean, I went on social media too, and I was like, guys, I researched on Rest in Peace Los Angeles that we need to write letters to Sean Silva, who is a Silva servant and has connections to Tracy Park, who is our Los Angeles councilwoman.
Yeah.
And have you seen her? Like, homegirl embodies like this essence of Marilyn. If you look at her, and Sarah Paulson, like if Sarah Paulson and Marilyn Monroe had a baby, it would be Tracy Park. But she looks so cute with her cute little like curled like bob and her little cat-eye glasses with her red lipstick. She was giving. She was certainly giving. And of course, her and her team received all of the emails, all of the calls. People really did an immediate call to action. So Park introduced the motion to temporarily save the home during Friday's council meeting, and it will undergo the process to be declared as a historical landmark. And according to her quote, the overwhelming sentiment here is clear. This home must be preserved as a crucial piece of Hollywood and the city of Los Angeles's history, culture, and legacy. This home is equivalent of what Graceland is in Tennessee. Like, this is something that, you know, you can't tear down Graceland. You can't tear down Marilyn Monroe's Brentwood home.
Well, I think, like, the thing is, too, is that it's just about, like, conversation with the community and, like, not this weird, like, rushing and, like, under the desk hidden kind of behavior that is so common, unfortunately. Like, if we get to, as a community, discuss, like, this historical significance and what it could look like and what it means to the community and the history of the city, that's an open conversation that, like, should be had. Like, that's fine. But it's just like it's just a rush. Like, oh, I didn't even know that this was happening until we started, like, talking about, not we, but, like, until people started, like, raising the concern. But if we weren't, even like 10 years ago, social media was very different. It was we were fed the information that we were fed, whereas now you get to, like, see people boots on the ground, and I love that. But if we don't have those situations, we should still be having the conversations. Like, if someone wants to do this, they should have to go through a more rigorous process than just, like, buying and getting the land grants. Like, if someone hadn't figured this out and started raising awareness, it would have already been demolished. Like, it would have been too late.
Yeah, because according to the LA Times article, like, as I mentioned, Jasmine Kiswell and her husband noticed that there were already signs of demolition on the home in 2021.
Right. And again, it's like, I try to hear people being like, but they bought it. They have the right to do, like, what they want with it. And there is an element of truth to that, but it comes back to, like, who has the privilege of buying this, and, like, how is the purchasing being done? And what are they doing with, like, I'm sorry, but ultimately this was like a column, a row on a spreadsheet. Like, there's no way they knew, like, oh, like, I'm not saying that there's some, like, mustache twirling person being like, we're going to destroy Marilyn Monroe's legacy. They just, they were doing, the machine of real estate was running, and this was about to be composted through that. Like, that is not a good system to have in place. There needs to be checks and balances that prevent this kind of thing from going under the radar, or only being stopped in case someone notices that it's happening. Like, that's not a good system.
No, it's not. I know.
Don't even get me started. Reform now. I don't know.
There's so much going on, especially, like, in the midst of, you know, this almost happening, and then the writer's strike.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And
right, which again,
like, literally we're in the age of, like, really, we need to eat the rich. We need to eat.
And it's that thing of, like, well, they, like, you know, these CEOs, they're making all this money because, like, that's their job. Their job is to make their investors money, and that is true. But again, it just comes down to, like, but what are they actually, like, what are they actually providing?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like, okay, yes, this person or this corporation or whatever bought this property, so technically they can do whatever they want to because it's their property. But how and why and who has access? You and I couldn't afford to buy that house.
Oh, hell no. Oh, no.
People who want to preserve the history of this city don't usually have access to buy these kinds of properties. So it's like, well, yes, we can talk all we want about, like, the legality, but legality and morality are two separate conversations. Like,
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, support the writer's strike. Like, although I think a slight tangent, it's very interesting because we're now, like, we're seeing all the short-term things that corporations always do to break up strikes are now kind of coming to a close. So they, you know, they were able to share their articles about, like, the short-term profits that they made, and their Q4 was incredible. And now we're starting to see, like, the numbers that are starting to roll in for like the beginning of the year, and the lineups. I don't know how closely you're following, but, like, the lineups for fall programming are laughably bad. And we're starting to see, like, yeah, we're kind of headed toward the end game, and you're about to lose your jobs. So, like, how long do you really want to keep going because the writers and the actors are not going anywhere.
They're not. Oh my God.
We're in it. We're already past day 100. Like, we're in it for the long haul.
We are.
The community has risen up to support people. You've already lost this fight, but like, how much blood do you want to bleed to like prove your point? I just think we're going to start seeing, I mean, we already saw the one get murdered by Vladimir Putin. So like, let's just like call a spade a spade. Like, there already are CEOs who are dying.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not even talk about like how many of them are about to get fired. And obviously they all have golden parachutes. They're going to be fine. But if you like your job, if you like the power that you are addicted to, you need to come to the table and like give the writers what they want. It's such a low ask. It's so embarrassing how little we're actually asking for.
It's almost looking like it's a bit petty.
Oh,
like,
they
especially
want slaves.
They want slaves, and especially like the other news stories that I'm seeing, how like CBS execs are like asking the city to prune and cut branches off of certain trees on certain streets to prevent any shade for the protesters.
Well, that whole thing was so crazy because they actually did that without permission. Like, in order to trim certain trees in Los Angeles, you actually have to do it through the city.
Mm-hmm.
They did that, and the fine that the universal fine was like so low. I think it's like $250.
It's just nothing to them. Like,
they don't care. That's like, if you were fined up half a penny, like, okay, sure, whatever. Like, probably more effort to get half a penny than to actually like pay the fine. So they were able to basically get away with doing that without any consequence. But again, those are like short-term solutions to like break up the union busting, and it just won't work. Like, historically, that just never works. What a time. We live in the weirdest
what a time to be alive right now, especially in Los Angeles.
Like, we're watching like, oh, they're building like straight up company towns. Like, did we not learn this lesson? Like, what the fuck is going on?
You never do, because, and I mean, we talked about it time and time and again. Like, history always repeats itself. So here we are.
They just put new words. They like call it something different, and like, see, it's not the same.
It looks like a duck and smells like a duck. Acts like a duck. There you go.
But look, we'll take the wins. Like, the fact that this house was able to be like temporarily like, let's just take a second and like reevaluate what's happening, and that there's like a council person who acted quickly and listened to the community. Like, we will definitely take wins.
Exactly. Another tidbit too I wanted to share about the Brentwood home. Another famous person is also tied to it. So many of you may have forgotten that Anna Nicole Smith rented the home for a period of time when she was just starting to make it big in Hollywood. So we had two famous blondes, very famous blondes in Hollywood, live in this home. So there you go.
Love history.
Yes, but I am just really glad that we were able to come together and, you know, really communicate with the people that we voted for. I mean, I'm proud to say that I voted for Tracy. Yeah. And I'm really happy that, you know, that vote really proves to me that she gets the job done.
Totally.
And we'll see what happens there. But I mean, we've also talked about another location too, where the Los Angeles Historical Conservancy has saved and salvaged the Victorian homes and placed them in a little area known as Heritage Square as well. So that is another piece of history that has been salvaged because, you know, here we are. Once again, trying to erase history. These beautiful Queen Anne Victorians were set to be demolished in and around California. And these historical societies swooped in and saved them, collected them, and moved them to this location in Los Angeles where now you could, you know, view and visit them. Yeah. And if you guys have ever gone to Heritage Square, you know what I'm talking about. It's like a little Queen Anne Victorian village. It really is a village. I know a lot of shows, films have been shot there.
My friend is actually in a show that's there right now. They did a similar thing last year, and you like walk through the little like village, and depending, like, there are like bigger scenes, like group scenes in like the church and all of those places that we were as well for our live show.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what I was going to do.
If you're like walking through, and like you can kind of see like different parts of the play with like, depending on where you go, it's like kind of like a choose your own adventure in these like historic haunted buildings, and it's a spooky little place. But yeah, it's just so crazy. Like it's, when we preserve spaces, then the things that they can be used for are so creative and like interesting, as opposed to just like another apartment that like nobody lives in or can afford.
Mm-hmm. And if you go there now to Heritage Square, there's so many Halloween and festivals and stuff, or carnival festivals, and you can actually do, here you go with the spookies, you could do a Victorian ghost hunt. And I know some of the docents there lead you through the homes by candlelight and teach you how individuals back in the Victorian era would do seances and paranormal investigations, which is really, really nice. They also do a wake presentation where they go into a lecture of how wakes and funerals were presented in the Victorian era, which is also really cool. So it does, lend to education and bringing the community together when, a piece of history is saved. Yeah. And I love that place. And I'm so happy that we were able to do our live show there.
Yeah, it was so cool. It's such a fun venue.
Yeah, it's such a cool venue. And if you haven't gone, and I highly recommend that you go visit, donate to them, and support them. Follow them too on Instagram. They're under Heritage Square, and you can also see the list of events that they have going on. I know there was another one that Zachariah the Witch, our friend, was a part of, called Carnival. And I think I think Midsummer Scream might do another one too soon there. I'm not sure, but definitely go catch it during the fall. Get you into the spooky fall vibes, of course.
My friend's show that's there right now, I think it's running through October, November. It's called Fangs. So obviously it's about dentists. Oh, no, vampires, right. Same thing. Vampire dentists. No, I think it's like a period piece. And again, it's like super spooky. And so again, like when these places are saved, then they are able to be used by the community for all kinds of different, like, artistic, expressive, joyous occasions. I don't know. LA irks me sometimes. God,
what should have been saved? I'm just going to say it, is Marilyn Monroe's dress that Kim Kardashian wore for the gala.
And again, like, this is another perfect example where it's like we just are erasing history for our own benefit. Who is that for? Like, why are we doing this? And like, look, there was a lot of backlash, so I don't think she came away looking like super untarnished by that decision, but like the dress is still damaged. The dress is
God, absolutely. All the seams are pulled, gemstones are like they're already torn off. There's a run it. It's a mess. I already knew like that was going to be very problematic, especially for like the fabric and the weight of it. I'm like, that's not gonna come out well. No.
Clothing is a disposable art form ultimately. Like those things, when they're like historical archival pieces, they have to be preserved. Like you could just wear a replica, it would be fine.
Exactly. There's a reason why people handle those pieces of garments with gloves and with great care. So I already knew. I'm like, that's already messed up. When it was on her body, I'm like, it's already done. I already know. It's already, it's gone. And of course, because she walked in with a name, and I'm sure let's be honest, maybe a great chunk of money.
Oh, for sure. Of course.
Then people realize, oh, we were in trouble. All the backlash that we received.
Yeah. It's, again, like, it's the conversation is like, well, she had the money to do that, so shouldn't she be allowed to do that? And it's like, right, but should she be allowed to do that? And like the person who owned that dress, if it's privately owned, that one in particular was not, but it's like a separate conversation. And should they be allowed to just like mishandle these things? I don't have a perfect answer for that, unfortunately, but I think we're entering an era where we like are having more frank conversations about like what it looks like to preserve history. So
here we are. So
don't even get me started on the museum in London. Chaos.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this little mini-sode. I know, it's the rants, our little mini-sode here. And please email us, and also comment on our post in regard to this episode, your thoughts of what just occurred in Brentwood and what's going on in Hollywood. We'd love to hear your thoughts. I know that you guys have already started posting a lot on our last couple of posts in regards to the outcome of this wonderful news of this motion that has been set by Tracy Parks. And we hope that
it's just like community involvement.
Yes, that's all it was.
It's always the solution. Like,
it really is.
That just is the way.
Like, just our voices can be heard, and there are people who are willing to hear them. And I was very proud to have like sent those emails to the right people and to Sean and everything. And it was really great to know that, you know, we couldn't save Marilyn in the 60s, but we could save her today. This was our way of saving her in a way. And I thought that was so powerful.
Yeah.
And I hope that, this is finally done and it's recognized as a cultural historical monument, because we can't demolish or bury history, especially here in Los Angeles. And we cannot do that with Marilyn Monroe for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of performances, Bryce, you have one very soon?
Yes, we do. So our theater company does basically 3 shows a year, like our season. So we have a show coming up in October, which is like still so surreal because in many ways it still feels like we just did the show that was the first show that you came and saw.
Yes.
Like that was at the beginning of the year is so weird to me. And like the sort of unofficial theme of our season this year has been like shows that we have been working on or wanting to do for years. So you and I first met, I mean, now almost 10 years ago, which is insane, doing this show at the little school we worked at. So for it to like kind of come full circle and now be doing it with our company. And then the musical we did in the summer is the show that I've known about for almost 20 years and went to New York to see. So to do that and have my sister come and see that. And so this show that we have coming up in October was written by an alumna from ADA, and she wrote this show, and I knew about it, again, almost like 10 years ago. So we've had this show kind of bouncing around, wanting to do it in some form for almost over a decade now. So to finally be like doing it and finally like seeing it come to fruition, and I don't know, it's just been really cool and very like fulfilling and like a very interesting like bookend kind of year, frankly, but especially like with this upcoming one. It's gonna be really good. We're at the Sherry again. Yeah. So I love the Sherry. They're such a cute little like theater, and it's in such a cool area in North Hollywood. And this is a really beautiful show. It's funny because I am currently in the process, almost done. I'm writing a show that we'll be doing next year about my experience in an evangelical university and being queer in that space and what coming out in those kinds of spaces look like and deconstructing. And I've been working.
Gonna be amazing.
Yeah, and I've been writing that for, I mean, again, like over a decade. Like I'm a very slow writer, so and this show that we're doing in October is called Rant by Julia Hawk. Hi, Julia. And it really, really influenced the way that I told my story and the way that I wrote my show. So just to be doing it finally is like super surreal. Yes, that is in October, the 2nd and 3rd weekend in October.
And where people can find tickets or learn more about
fireflytheatergroup.com. I think the link is actually still just in my Instagram bio. I'm definitely too lazy to like change my Instagram.
No, it's good because like go to your bio at Smirking Assassin.
At Smirking Assassin. And then you can get tickets there and see and
it's an easy process to purchase your tickets.
Yeah, and the Firefly Theater Group has an Instagram where we kind of post our things. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, again, we're in the joyous time of like slowly reintegrating into a more post-COVID world artistically. So this is gonna be fun. Yeah.
Who says that there's no such thing as theater here in Los Angeles? There is.
We're really fighting the good fight.
We are
uphill battle for sure, but like I just refuse to believe, like, we have the East West players who are so prolific, who are telling such important stories.
Absolutely.
We have Theater of Note. We have, I mean, literally dozens and dozens of theater companies, of theater spaces. And the fight is not done. Like, the Amundsen just declared bankruptcy for the one theater wing of their corporation. So it's not the entire right, it's like not the entire company, but this one specific leg of it. So theater in LA is fighting for its life, and yeah, I'm proud to be a very small part of that fight, but I think it's important.
Here we are trying to fight to save historical places, and here we are trying to fight to get paid to work in the industry, and also to save theater. It's a never-ending job here in Los Angeles, for sure.
And in the world, I mean, historically, we're at a very interesting turning point. So
I know.
The fight goes on.
Before I go, I have a little update. I wanted to share this with you guys. I know we were trying to come to an end, but we're like,
we're not even close.
But we were talking about this earlier. So I got a little sign from Mia. And over the weekend, we got her aquamated cremain. So Mia was my 5-year-old boxer that unexpectedly passed due to many ailments that she had been misdiagnosed with. And it was terrible. But over the Labor Day weekend, my husband went out of town and I had to stay because of work. And I was kind of dreading staying by myself.
Of course.
Because one, the silence is so loud. And two, I was expecting to receive her remains. I'm like, great, I'm going to be alone when I have to accept them. And I remember, I was sitting in the living room. I'm like, oh, Mia, I wish you were here. I wish, I wasn't alone. And I kid you not, an hour later, my friend calls me. This was late at night, and she's like, hey, I just had a major family emergency. Can you come by? Are you free right now? Can you come by and, take care of Joey?
Oh, my God.
Joey was Mia's best friend. He's like an 85-pound pit bull. He's a big tub of love. He's the sweetest little pity poo in the world. And I was like, absolutely. And I raced to go get him. I brought him back, and he was here with me when I was, there to receive Mia's remains. And I thought, was that Mia sending Joey here?
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to send you my best friend. You're not going to be alone, and he's going to spend time with you. So just you're to be okay, mom. Kind of thing. So I thought that was really, I thought that was really cool. It was really crazy that, that just happened an hour after I put that out, and he was there. He was there to take care of me, and at one point be a little brat. I had to go, and
it's all a balance for sure. Yeah. It can be both.
He's a little baby. I can't leave him by himself. I had a dinner date with a friend on Sunday for 2 hours, and he went crazy.
Oh, girl.
Left me a little surprise in the kitchen. I was like, okay, all right.
Emily took him on a very long walk yesterday.
Oh, Finn?
The drama that we have been experiencing because he is tired from his long walk. So this is how they are. They're like, I'm here to love you and support you, and also be the biggest drama queen you've ever seen. So what you're saying does not even surprise me a little.
Oh, yes.
God bless him.
Yeah.
Oh, Joey.
I know. So it was really great. I wanted to share that with everyone. But yeah, there are always signs. There's always signs out there that they're watching you.
Yeah, and you have people on you have energy, I guess I'll say, since I don't know what happens to us after. But there's so many things, energies, spirits, people, players on your team,
On everybody's team. Yes. Definitely feel it on my team as well.
Yeah.
Now we're going to bring it to a close.
Allegedly,
yeah.
We'll see.
We're going to plan some more episodes for the spooky month of October. I'm so excited. There's a couple of exciting people that we're going to have on. And it's going to be a really great month of October. It's going to be a lot going on. I just realized
always the way.
October is the busiest month.
Explosions.
For us, it used to be May, and now it's October.
Yeah, it's always kind of been I've always said this, like ever since I worked at the school, once October hits, it might as well be the new year. Like Happy New Year, like it's
Happy New
October
Year.
1st. Happy New Year.
Exactly.
It's such a sprint to the end.
All right, guys, if you love Hollyweird Paranormal Podcast, please be sure to give us a 5-star rating on
please.
Apple Podcasts. It really does help us out a lot. Helps us become a little more visible. And if you also want to stalk us a little more, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Hollyweird Paranormal. And of course, on the formerly known as Twitter X at HWP Podcast. And on Threads. We're on Threads too at Hollyweird Paranormal. You could follow me at Haunted LA Girl on TikTok and follow me throughout my haunted adventures throughout Los Angeles or any type of adventures throughout California. And of course, if you have a spooky story you're dying to share with us, no pun intended, you can send it over to our email at hollyweirdparanormal@gmail.com. And if you want to stalk us even more, you can go on our website, hollyweirdparanormal.com. You could venture through our merch store. You can also listen to past episodes and seasons, and you can also venture to our Patreon page. So we have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Hollyweird Paranormal. And for as little as $1 or more per month, you can help support the podcast for however many months you want. Could be 1, 2, or 3. A little does go a long way, and we'll provide you with some little gifts, stickers, a coaster, magnets, and now I got these spooky little erasers. They're I wanted to add more. They're so adorable. One is a ghost, a cat, and a pumpkin. They're adorable. And you'll get all that as a thank you, as a big thanks. So
Kissies.
I know.
Maybe not kisses. We'll see.
So thank you to everyone who has tuned in, who's supported and has supported in the past. We truly do appreciate you guys. Keep on sending those scary stories our way. We have a couple already in our inbox, so we're excited to read them very soon because we always love doing a listener's tales episode. I love hearing Bryce's voice break and crack a little bit.
I know, this is the thing I'm going to go through without screaming into the microphone. False. It's always false.
Yes. And we also wanted to do a big shout out to our friends over at What's Up Weirdo Podcast, Johnny Eltenny and Jessica Napik, and also our friends over at Southern Gothic Podcast and Necronomicast. Thank you guys for all your support in the past and for being our modern friends, of course. Yes. All right, guys. Take care. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. And always remember to stay Hollyweird.
Yes.
Do you have anything you want to say? Bye. Bye. Safe Marilyn. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.